Hi guys, how are you doing? Today we're going to continue our exploration of animation on Cinema 4D by learning about splines. So I'm going to introduce you to splines. So splines are basically paths that you can make or draw on your own on Cinema 4D that your objects can travel on when animated properly. So first I'm going to create an object, a cube as always, but today we're going to make it a bit more like a rectangle because there's a point I want to make later about axis rotations on splines. And let's give it a nice orange color. We don't need reflectance. And yeah, that's about good. Alright, so I've created my objects. I've created my object. Now we're gonna create a spline. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make sure to zoom out significantly because I don't want just the little path. I want the big path so that you can see the little object actually traveling along it. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create a spline now. How you create a spline? You see this button right here, right next to the cube. Uh, this button is how we create our objects. This button is how we create our splines. So what you do, same as the cube button, you click, hold down, drag it to the type of spline you want. There are 6 of them. We're going to do freehand because that's the most basic type of spline. And then you let go. So now we have freehand. And also, as you can see, the cube is the default choice of this button, and the freehand spline is also the default choice of this button. So just like this one, you can just click and you will be on freehand spline mode. But for the other modes, you have to click and drag and let go to which one you want. So if it's not freehand, you have to click, drag, and let go on the choice you want. But since we're doing freehand, either way works for us. So now, freehand spline is the most basic spline because you can basically you're basically in control of your entire spline. You're basically drawing out the entire spline. So how you draw it, you click, hold, and drag your mouse along the path you want your spline to be, and that's how you draw your spline. And when you're done, you let go. So there's this white line, that is the path we want our object to travel on. And also, you can also modify portions of your spline. You see these little dots here? You can modify each dot and the portion of the spline that surrounds the dot. So for example, if we wanted to modify this dot right here, we don't want this little curve, we want it to be straight. We can simply just click on the dot and modify it. Now on my Cinema 4D, on my computer, I have to click, you see where on the points button is highlighted. But on my Cinema 4D, I have to click on model first, this button first, and then click back before I can be able to edit my the individual points. But maybe your computer, your software is different. Right? I guess mine just works that way for some reason, but it's just a little issue. It's not really that big. So now you see that when my mouse hovers over each dot, it turns white. So I'm going to click it, and I can basically move the position of that dot. Just drag it down a little bit and click somewhere else, and you now see that the curve no longer is there. It's kind of more like a straight line. So you can modify all the portions of your spline until you're happy. Now we've drawn our spline, we need to attach our object to the beginning of the spline. So how we do that, click on our object. Right now it's a cube, but maybe I should rename it rectangle because it really is a rectangle. And then right click, go to Cinema 4D tags, and click Align to Spline. Not Align to Path, Align to Spline. It's a little bit hard to remember, so I'll do it again. Click on your object, right click, Cinema 4D tags, Align to Spline, okay? And then this little box right here will show up right here, Align to Spline. And first, but the object still is not attached to the spline yet. We need to choose a spline path to attach the object to. Well, the only spline path we have is the spline we drew. It's the spline. I'll rename this path. There we go. Now, if you want, so you see it's no longer on the 9 to spline, it's on spline. So if you wanted to go back to the 9 to spline box, you just click this symbol right here. That is the 9 to spline symbol. It's this little tab next to the rectangle object. So we click on that, and we're back. So now, how we can make our path, the spline path, there are two ways. One way, we can click, hold, and drag our path object, our spline path, from the organizer to here. And then we repeat that again. Go to path and the object organizer. Click, drag, click, hold, drag over here into the box right here, and we let go. Another way to do it is we press this button right here, this little arrow button. Click it, and whatever object we click on, that's the object that's going to show up in this box. So we click path, and it shows up here. Once again, but to use this method, you first have to click this little button that shows the arrow, that shows the mouse button. You click it, and then you click path, and then it shows up here. Now we have attached our object to the path, our path that we drew. So now we're going to go ahead and animate it. We're going... Oh, before we animate it, there's something else I want to point out. You see right here, the position tab, it says 0%. That means the object is 0% through our path. It is at the very beginning of our path, or 0%. Notice as I press the up button, the object begins to travel along our path. So at 36, so at about, in correlation to the percent of the path it's through, so at 50%, this should be about halfway through our path. And at 100%, it's at the end of our path, and vice versa, 0% at the beginning. Now, we are going to animate our object. So, we're going to animate our object by making it go along the path. So how we do that is first, we turn on auto key. So at the beginning of the movie, the object is going to be at the beginning of the spline. Turn on auto keying. At the beginning, 0% position on the spline at the beginning. Drag it all the way to the end. At 90 frames, it will be, and then set the position 100 to 100% on the position tab, which means at 90 frames, it will be at the end of the path. So we've set our positions. That's basically all we have to do. Now, if we play the movie, we will see the object going along the path. And you can also make it go backwards as well by setting the 0 frame position to 100% on this path and setting the position at 90 frames to 0%. So now I'm going to play the movie. As you can see, it is going along the path. Turn off auto key. Now, some things to remember. The rectangle, however, there are a few problems with our movie. One thing, the rectangle is not changing direction. It's basically staying in the same direction. What if we wanted it to travel in the direction of the path? Like right now, it's basically static. It's not really changing direction according to the spline. If we wanted it to have it in the direction of whatever direction it was traveling on, currently in the spline, we would just have to do one thing. You see this tangential box right here? Check it. And now, let's drag it to the beginning. And now you can see that the cube is changing direction according to what direction of the path is going in. According to what direction it is going in on the path at that instant. So you see now it's turning around. It's spiraling in the direction that it's traveling on the path. basically it's changing direction. So what you have to do is just check this tangential box and you're good to go. Now another problem, it's not really traveling uniformly, it's kind of jerky, as you can see. What you have to do then, you go to the path, we go back to our spline, we click on our path object in the object organizer, and you see this intermediate point is set to adaptive. Click it, set it to uniform, so that it moves steadily. Now, if we play the movie again, you'll see it's much more steady. It's not jerky anymore. One last problem. Well, to me this isn't really a problem, but it may be to you. Let's zoom a little bit in. What if you wanted your rectangle to face the spline in a different direction? For example, if you wanted maybe the shorter end facing in the direction of the spline. Well, we go back to our 9-2 spline, go back to this box right here. There's this button, the axes. And right now it's set to Z. You can set it to X, you can set it to Y, and you can set it to Z. Now Y and Z don't make any difference because these two sides, Y is basically this side and Z is basically this side, or vice versa. The point is they're the same, they basically look the same. The only side that looks different is this side, that's the X. So if you wanted this short side to face against the spline, you would set it to X. And now when we play our movie, it should be good to go. And so yes, that's good enough. And there are also other types of spline, like linear, Bezier, B-spline, Archima, cubic. Just if you want, you can go explore and play around with these splines. But on most of these splines, you just have to click at different points, and the Cinema 4D will automatically connect these points, either linearly or cubically, like kind of parabolic, or maybe Archima, B-spline, Bezier. Cinema 4D will basically connect these points that you click to make up a spline according to which method it's on. So if you are on linear method, the points you click will be connected automatically by straight lines. If you're on cubic, it will be connected by curvy lines, Bezier, parabolic lines. So basically just experiment these, or just play around with these if you would like. And so that is it for today's tutorial. That's my introduction to you on Splines in Cinema 4D. Hope you enjoyed it. Have you had any questions? Please let me know. I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you and have a great day.